سلام و خوش اومدین به یه ویدیو دیگه با من سهرم توی این اپیزودها با هم دیگه کتاب Vocabulary for IELTS سطح Advanced رو در قالب پادکست های آموزشی یاد میگیریم. توی این اپیزودها لغات و گرامرهای حرفه‌ای یاد میگیریم که بتونیم با استفاده از این لغات این کتاب speaking و رایتینگ حرفه‌ای تری داشته باشیم. یادتون نره که من این کتاب سطح اینترمدیت هم آموزش دادم که از طریق این پلیلیست میتونید بهش دسترسی داشته باشید. اول اون سطح رو کار کنید، بعد این سطح. و از همه مهمتر برای دانلود PDF هایی که بهتون آموزش میدم میتونید جوین بشین به کانال تلگرام سحرکست. حالا چطوری از این پادکست ها استفاده کنید؟ توی انتهای صحبت های من یه دونه ویدیو کوتاه براتون آماده کردم که به راحتی میتونید با استفاده از روشی که من بهتون میگم هم این کتاب رو بخونید، هم یاد بگیرید که چطوری به بهترین نحو از این پادکست ها استفاده کنید که لغات و گرامرش رو به خوبی یاد بگیرید. پس یادتون نره دقیق مراحلی که بهتون گفتم رو اجرا کنید تا بتونید بهترین عملکرد داشته باشید. بریم سراغ درس 10 از کتاب Vocab for IELTS سطح Advanced. توی این درس در مورد فضا و علم فیزیک و موشک ها صحبت می‌کنیم. پس تا ادامه ویدیو همراه هم باش. Vocabulary for IELTS Advanced Level, Unit 10, Rocket Science, Space, and Physics. Hi everyone, it's Sahar and welcome back to another episode of Saharcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that has always captured people's imagination, space exploration, and the science behind it. From the early days of launching satellites to today's ambitious plans of colonizing Mars, space really is the final frontier. Physics and rocket science are not just about astronauts and rockets, they influence our everyday lives. The laws of motion, the theory of relativity, and even satellite technology have practical applications from GPS navigation to medical imaging. What is fascinating is how quickly technology has advanced. Just a century ago, flight itself felt like a miracle, but now we talk about reusable rockets, international space stations, and even quantum physics as a part of modern science. In IELTS, questions about science and technology often appear. You might be asked to describe a scientific discovery, discuss whether space exploration is worth the investment, or give your opinion about how science affects daily life. Having a strong vocabulary and clear examples will really help you stand out. So, in this unit, we'll explore words and expressions that will help us describe not only scientific achievements, but also their impact on society, innovation, and the future of humanity. Vocabulary List, Unit 10. Listen and repeat. Astronaut, astronaut, someone trained to travel in space. The astronaut spent 6 months on the International Space Station. Orbit, orbit, the curved path of a planet or satellite around another body. Or interorbit, state. The satellite entered Earth orbit successfully. Launch, launch, the act of sending a spacecraft or rocket into the sky. Rocket launch, launch a mission. The rocket launch was broadcast worldwide. Physics, physics, the science of matter, energy, and motion. Study physics, laws of physics. Physics explains why planets revolve around the sun. Relativity, relativity, Einstein's scientific theory about time, space, and gravity. Theory of relativity. Relativity revolutionized our understanding of the universe. Gravity. Gravity. The force that pulls objects toward each other. Zero gravity. Gravity force. Astronauts float in zero gravity. Experiment. Experiment. A scientific test. Conduct an experiment. The experiment confirmed the scientist's theory. Some adjectives. Astronomical. Astronomical, which means extremely large or related to astronomy. Astronomical cost. Astronomical discovery. The mission required an astronomical amount of money. Groundbreaking. Groundbreaking. Very new and innovative. Groundbreaking research. This was a groundbreaking discovery in physics. Theoretical. Theoretical. Based on theory, not practice. Theoretical knowledge. Theoretical physics. Theoretical physics can be hard to understand. Practical. Practical. Based on real situations, not just theory. Practical solution, practical skills. Engineers need both theoretical and practical knowledge. Some verbs. Invent. Invent. It means to create something new. Invent a device or invent technology. Scientists invented new materials for a spacecraft. Explore. Explore. To travel or study an area in detail. Explore space. Explore a theory. Humans continue to explore outer space. Prove. Prove. To show something is true. Prove a theory. The experiment proved his hypothesis. Predict. Predict. To say what will happen in the future. Predict results. Predict behavior. Scientists predict life may exist on other planets. Let's move to a part 2 sample answer about a scientific discovery. Describe a scientific discovery related to space or physics that you find important. You should say what it is, how it was discovered, what it is used for, and explain how it has affected people's lives. One of the most groundbreaking discoveries in physics, in my opinion, is the theory of gravity. It was first described by Isaac Newton centuries ago, when he famously observed an apple falling from a tree. What makes it so fascinating is that it wasn't just about an apple. It was a profound realization that the same force pulling fruit to the ground also governs the movement of the moon and planets. This discovery is not only the foundation of classical physics, but also the starting point of modern space exploration. Without understanding gravity, we wouldn't be able to launch rockets, predict eclipses, and even design satellites. It affects our everyday lives in ways most people don't realize, from GPS navigation on our phones to predicting tides that fishermen depend on. For me, what is inspiring is how something so simple, a falling apple, led to a theory that changed the entire course of human history. It shows that science is often about observation, imagination, and persistence. Honestly, I can't think of any other discovery that has such a universal and long-lasting impact on humankind. Sample answer number 2, part 2. Describe a beautiful sky you have seen. You should say when and where you saw it, what it looked like, who you were with, and explain why you remember it so clearly. One of the most breathtaking skies I have ever seen was during my solo trip to Sri Lanka, and a couple of weeks ago. I was staying near the coast, and one evening I went for a walk just before the sunset. The sky was absolutely mesmerizing. It wasn't just red or orange, but also painted with shades of purple, pink, and gold. Clouds were scattered like brush strokes, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, the colors became even more vibrant. What made it unforgettable was the feeling of peace. Not only was the view spectacular, but also the sound of the ocean waves and the warm breeze made it feel like time had stopped. I was alone, yet I felt deeply connected to nature at that moment. Another reason I remember it so vividly is because it reminded me of how small we are compared to the vast universe. The sky looked immense, almost infinite, and it gave me a sense of humility. It was more than just a pretty scene, it was a reminder of how fleeting and fragile life is, and how important is it to slow down and appreciate beauty around us. Part 3, Speaking Questions and Sample Answers. Do you think governments should spend more money on space exploration or on problems on Earth? I think governments should strike a balance. On the one hand, investing in space exploration can lead to groundbreaking technologies such as satellites that improve communication and weather prediction. On the other hand, problems like poverty and climate change are pressing and require immediate funding. Ideally, governments should not neglect Earth in pursuit of the stars. Number 2. Why do people find space so fascinating? Space is fascinating because it represents the unknown. Humans are naturally curious, and the idea of other planets, galaxies, and even the possibility of extraterrestrial space is fascinating because it represents the unknown. Humans are naturally curious, and the idea of other planets, galaxies, and even the possibility of extraterrestrial life sparks our imagination. It also makes us feel both insignificant and part of something much bigger, which is a powerful emotional contrast. Number 3. Do you think ordinary people will be able to travel to space in near future? Yes, I believe so. With private companies like Space and Blue Origin, space tourism is becoming more realistic. Of course, at the moment it is astronomically expensive, but as technology advances, costs will probably decrease. Maybe in 20 or 30 years, ordinary citizens will be able to book a seat on a spacecraft just like they book a flight today. How has space exploration changed life on Earth? It has changed life in countless ways. For example, satellites have improved global communication, navigation, and even disaster management. Space research also led to everyday inventions like memory foam and better medical imaging. So, even though rockets and astronauts seem far away from daily life, their impact is extremely practical. Number 5. What are the risks of exploring outer space? There are huge risks, both physical and financial. Astronauts face dangers like radiation, lack of gravity, and technical failures. Missions can cost billions, and a single failure can mean a catastrophic loss of money and human lives. That is why every launch is carefully calculated and tested multiple times. That is why every launch is carefully calculated and tested multiple times. Number 6. Do you think studying physics is important for young people? Absolutely. Physics physics doesn't just explain how rockets fly, it explains how the world works. Understanding concepts like gravity, energy, and motion helps students develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Even if they don't become scientists, that mindset is valuable in any career. Number 7. Should space exploration be an international effort or led by individual countries? In my opinion, it should be international. Space exploration requires enormous resources, and collaboration can reduce costs while also promoting peace and cooperation between nations. For example, the International Space Station is a collaborative project and a symbol of unity. Number 8. Do you think we will discover life on other planets? That is a difficult question. I think microbial life is highly likely because the universe is so vast. However, intelligent life is harder to predict. Even if it exists, the distances are so great that communication might be impossible. Still, the search itself is valuable because it pushes science and technology forward.